He became the youngest MDRT for MNYL at the age of 20 and was sent to New York Life Annual MDTR Conference 2002 at New York to represent India. He later started Ideal Insurance while pursuing his MBA from SP Jain Institute of Management in the year 2005 and grew it totally bootstrapped until 2018 when Ideal Insurance raised a small round of pre-cash primarily to fund their acquisition of MK Insurance Brokers. Rahul was also regarded as the India's youngest chartered financial analyst while pursuing his graduation. His later completed his master's in business administration from SP Jain Institute of Management, Mumbai. Also, recently he completed his family managed business program from ISB Hyderabad. Today, he is invited as the guest lecturer on entrepreneurship and insurance by country's top colleges like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, KJ Somaiya, and SP Jain Institute of Management. Rahul, along with Mr. Rahul Mohta, started Business Network International BNI in Kolkata, which is now world's #1 region out of 900 regions with 26 chapters and also 1,500 plus members. It is now being managed by his partner, Mr. Bimal Samal, and Rahul has no day-to-day active role in it. Rahul has been associated with many organizations like TIE, CII, Young India, Roundtable India, and is extremely well networked. He is also a member of Mumbai Angels Network and has invested in over 10 startups and is himself a very integral part of startup ecosystem. I have met Rahul a couple of times and we know each other very well. I believe he has very in-depth knowledge and he has been working day in and day out to provide solutions related to insurance. I will like to invite Rahul to take from here. The rubber industry needs to be addressed on various formats like how is the role of insurance related to the risk of insurance, debtors insurance, so many areas of insurance, health insurance. So I can just tell you in a broader perspective, but he will be taking us deeper into what insurance is and how does it help us.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Thank you so much for that lengthy introduction. And thank you for the opportunity. I'm truly glad to share whatever I know about insurance, and I'm sure you will take away some very important key points which will help you in managing insurance in your own organization. Before we start, I'll request whoever can put on your videos, please put on. It's good to see people in person. It motivates the speakers. I understand everyone might not be able to, but whoever can, please put on your videos. So I'll be making a quick presentation. I'll give you a small brief about our organization, and then I'll tell you about the insurance needs for the rubber industry. Feel free to stop me at any point of time and ask questions. Even if you have questions which remain, we have a limited time, and it's a huge subject. Insurance, covering insurance for rubber industry is a very huge subject. It can go on for hours, but I have to finish that in 30 to 40 minutes. Even if anything is pending, I can always take that later. So in a very, very quick brief, so I'm representing Airia Insurance. We are a Calcutta-based booking firm. Yeah, so we are now present in more than 20 cities. I hope everyone is able to see the presentation. We do about 250 crores of premium, and we have a strong team of 220 people across India. This is our geographic distribution. So we are covering almost the length and breadth of India, and we are insuring a lot of rubber units across India, including a lot of rubber units in the Eastern India as well. So this is our management team. We have a very, very strong management team and supported by some very senior people from the industry. And we have an excellent claims team as well. This is our mainstay. We have some wonderful people who have spent more than 30-40 years in the claims. And we do a very interesting thing, which we'll be more than happy to take up for any member of our association, where we do a free insurance audit of your entire portfolio. We study what are the loopholes, what are the mistakes in your policies, and we give you a good presentation on how you can change your policies. Now, coming to the insurance industry, just want to give you a quick background that before 1956, there were 245 insurance companies which merged into LIC and formed LIC, and there were 107 general insurance companies which were merged to form the now four public general insurance companies. And again, decentralization happened in 2000, and all the private players had come up. Now we have about 56 players. So why it is significant for you is that now we have a lot of options in the industry. For 2000, there were very limited players, and now after the private players coming, there's good amount of competition. There's different cover which are available, which are not available before, right? So it's always prudent to compare the policies not only on in terms of pricing, but also what are the different cover different companies are offering. So don't always go by whichever is the cheapest. There can be a huge difference in the cover that different insurance companies are quoting you. So industry is a huge size. It's almost close to $150 billion industry now. Health insurance has been growing very consistently. And then there are intermediaries who must be dealing with agents, then brokers like us, then banks, the TPS who manage the health insurance claim, the surveyors. In case of claim, you have to deal with the surveyor. So this is the entire ecosystem of the insurance industry. It's just so that you know who are the different players which are involved in the, because you have to deal with these kind of people at some point of time or other. Okay, now what are the different types of insurance? In personal insurance, you have your life, mediclaim, your private car, accident, property. We'll not be covering personal insurance. We'll be focusing on business insurance only today, but this just for your reference again. In business insurance, first we have our assets, which is your factory, your stock, movement of goods, the machineries. If you're coming up with a new project, buying machines. Second is loss of profit, which will cover in the later stage. What do we mean by loss of profit? This is one key area where many people still miss out. And then there's credit insurance, which is bad debt insurance. I think we have also Mr. Sahu who will be speaking on that subject. Credit insurance is again a very, very important subject today. And then we have liabilities, right? Liabilities again is not very well known in India right now, but it's fast catching up. So there could be product liabilities. We'll discuss in more about liabilities as well. So we'll focus more on the business insurance, the asset and the liabilities, both sides. Okay. So basically, what is insurance? Insurance is a cost which we are giving to the insurance company to transfer my risk to the insurance company. So there's always a premium which is attached to the cost. Now, why don't go by the graph? You might get confused, but understand simply that you're paying something to the insurance company to take away your risk. Now we have different kind of risk in our organization. We need to see the cost and benefit just the way we do a cost and benefit analysis, and then we should take the insurance accordingly. We might not need to transfer all the risk. We may need somebody may transfer every risk, somebody may transfer only the big risk. For example, now there's some risk which if happens, they can actually affect the entire company, the entire balance sheet. For example, a fire, a earthquake, a flood, loss of profit. So these are the important covers which you must always take. Now, why I'm bringing this up is many a time what happens when you get quotations, somebody might remove flood from your policy to give you a lower premium. You might feel कि मेरे एरिया में तो flood नहीं आता है, या हमारे एरिया में तो earthquake नहीं आता है. But nobody can ever say for sure. So these are some basic risks which you must always have. No matter whatever is the premium, you must always cover this. Then there are other kind of risks, for example, machinery breakdown. Okay, machinery breakdown may happen very regularly in a unit, but they are very small claims. So you may choose to cover them or may not cover them, or you may only choose to cover the important machineries, which are expensive machineries. Then let's say credit insurance. We'll discuss that. That is also a cost benefit, right? We'll discuss on when we should go for a credit insurance and when we can avoid taking a credit insurance. So insurance is of course a cost. Okay, so you're paying insurance company some money to transfer your cost. Now, what are the covers which are there in fire insurance? So fire insurance has this level perils: your fire, lightning, explosion, windstorm, riot, strikes, malicious damage. So please note that whenever you're buying a policy, none of them is excluded. Okay, some companies may use some tricks to reduce your premium, but make sure that all these 11 covers are always covered in your fire insurance. Then there's terrorism. Okay, so terrorism is basically any foreign activity or even the Naxalites. So if your plant is in such an area where there is a threat of Naxalism, then you must go for a terrorism cover. Otherwise, you don't need a terrorism cover. Earthquake, as I already said, that you must take earthquake no matter what. Then there's spontaneous combustion. For example, a heap of coal, it can catch fire even without any external thing, right? Or some chemicals. So you should always you have to take a separate spontaneous combustion cover whenever you have such kind of goods. They can catch fire even without an external fire. Okay, by the nature of their own, biological nature of the goods. So we need to take spontaneous combustion cover. Finally, burglary. Burglary you have to take again for your stock and machines. You can also take a theft cover along with burglary. It does not cost much. So the difference is burglary is like a lot of people coming and barging in and taking away goods at gunpoint. But most of the time, it does not happen like that. Normally, these are thefts which are silent. Maybe when the factory is closed or in the night. So then the burglary, you will not get a claim under the burglary. So you need to take a theft extension cover. Now, one very important point when you are buying fire insurance is a reinstatement value clause. What happens is, I'll give you by an example. Suppose we had हमने एक factory डाली थी 10 साल पहले for 10 crore rupees. Today, the book value of that factory is 5 crore. But if we set up a similar new factory today, it might cost 15 crore. Now, most people take insurance at that 5 crore value, which is the book value. But that is absolutely wrong. You have to take insurance at a 15 crore value. आप अगर 15 crore पे नहीं लेते हैं, तो insurance company will reduce your claim up by 1/3. So let's say if your claim is, even if your claim is 1 crore, you say कि नहीं मैंने तो 5 crore का insurance लिया, मेरे को पूरा claim मिलना चाहिए. You will not get the claim. You will only get 1/3 of the claim because the insurance company will say you have paid me only 1/3 of the premium, so we'll only give you 1/3 of the claim. And this is a very, very important subject. It's not easy for me to explain you such a short time, but I hope I'm able to explain. And if any further questions, please feel free to stop me and ask. Now, the next point is how to take insurance of a stock. And it's a very common problem for all industries. But so when you're buying a stock insurance, you need to take the value which is the highest value at any point of time in the year. For example, आपके पूरे साल भर में आपका स्टॉक रहता है 2 crore का. Just 1 week, it is 4 crore because of some reason or season or whatever. So you need to take the policy at 4 crore. If you don't take the policy for 4 crore and you take it at 2 crore, then any point of time if there is a claim, you will only get 50% of the claim. Even if at that time the stock is less than 2 crore in your factory, still you will get only 50% of the claim. So always keep in mind that stock has to be maximum stock at any point of time during the year. Okay, now there's another very interesting policy instead of fire, which is called industrial all risk policy. This policy is only for those companies whose total asset base is more than 50 crore. So your plant, machinery and stocks, if they are more than 50 crore, then instead of a fire, you can actually take a industrial all risk policy. It's a policy, it's a basically umbrella policy which covers everything in one policy. Your all fire related risk, your machinery breakdown, lots of profit. Okay, and it is much cheaper than taking just a fire policy. Yeah, Aditya ji, please go ahead.
Rao, sir, I have a small question before going to the second point.
Sure.
regarding, if you could just go to the previous slide.
Yes.
स्टॉक वाला, हाँ. अच्छा, जस्ट अ स्मॉल थिंग, आपने जैसे इसमें बोला स्टॉक के लिए, आई हैव अ प्रॉब्लम लाइक, I know it's not a theft, it's not a burglary, maybe but because of some mistake from my staff point of view or something. See, it's not possible for us to calculate or see our stock on everyday basis, right? We check our stocks only on, say, quarterly or weekly or monthly basis. तो एंड ऑफ द ईयर मंथ में आई सी कि मेरा 2 बैग कोई मटेरियल मिस है या कम है, तो उसका कोई स्टॉक को इंश्योरेंस किया जा सकता है क्या?
So, Aditya ji, very relevant and interesting question. We get such kind of claims where लोगों को 2-3 महीना तक पता नहीं चला वहाँ चोरी हो रही है.
हाँ.
Now the problem in such cases is you have to establish that in FIR. So if the FIR में you are able to justify कि हाँ हमारा इतना चोरी हुआ है and the police accept, then we can build up a claim. If the FIR does not happen, then we cannot. In any case, in case of a theft or burglary, FIR is the most important document.
Okay. One more thing.
Yeah, please.
अच्छा, ठीक है. आप if you could, आप कुछ complete कर रहे थे, आप कुछ बोल रहे थे.
No, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
अच्छा, one more thing. What is the difference between the normal fire and the spontaneous combustion? जो आपने दो चीज आपने समझाया.
Yes. So fire तो आप समझ गए. Now spontaneous combustion fire में covered नहीं होता, right? मैं आपको एग्जांपल लेके बताता हूँ. कोल का ही एग्जांपल. जहाँ भी कोल होता है, अगर कोल का बहुत बड़ा हीट पड़ा है, तो वहां पर कुछ नहीं भी होता है, बट वो अंदर के वार्म, वो हीट से कोल में आग लग जाती है. So that is not covered under fire insurance, because fire insurance only gets triggered if there is any external thing that happens. Okay. Similarly, jute stock में क्या होता है, बड़े-बड़े अपने आप आग लग जाती है, right? तो इस तरह के जो भी goods होते हैं या chemicals होते हैं, some category A chemicals बोलते हैं, जिसमें वो बड़े-बड़े आग लग जाती है, जिनका flash point is I think less than 32 degree or something, right? तो उन तरह के stocks के लिए आपको अलग से mention करना पड़ता है that you want a spontaneous combustion cover for those kind of stocks, otherwise it will not be covered.
ठीक है राहुल जी, आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट कि ये जो पॉइंट है ना स्पॉन्टेनियस कंबस्शन वाला, ये दिस इज वेरी मच रिलेवेंट टू आवर इंडस्ट्री, बिकॉज वी डू हैव सम केमिकल्स व्हिच आर वेरी मच. हाँ,
We have faced such cases, that's the reason I put it.
हाँ, ठीक है. तो आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट द सेक्रेटरी सुरोदेव, just make sure we should highlight this particular claim to our members.
We'll give you a small note which you can distribute to your members about what is a spontaneous combustion. But in any case, we will be sharing this PPT so people can always read this and come back.
Sure. ठीक है sir. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. So moving on from industrial rollers, now transit and project insurance. So transit insurance is basically your movement of goods, raw material and machinery. It could be from customers, raw material coming into your factory, or finished goods going out from your factory. Could be imports, could be exports. So just one few things to be taken care when you're buying the transit insurance. Always buy from warehouse to warehouse, okay? Not so when I say warehouse to warehouse, it should be added in the policy. I'll give you an example on how insurance companies use these terms to cancel the claim, you reject the claim. Suppose आपने warehouse to warehouse नहीं लिखा, okay? Now truck आपके factory के बाहर आ गया, आपकी policy खत्म हो गई as per that, right? अब unloading के time में अगर कुछ होता है, it is not covered. So that's why, but अगर आप warehouse to warehouse mention करते हो, आपका loading और unloading भी covered होता है, because many a times claims comes during loading and unloading. आपके इंडस्ट्री में maybe goods damage नहीं होते हैं, but machines damage हो सकती है loading and unloading. So always put warehouse to warehouse. Second, कभी भी port तक policy मत लीजिए, right? Even if the agreement is with the buyer or seller for the policy from the port or till the port, you try to take an end-to-end policy. Okay, from your buyer's warehouse to your warehouse, or from your warehouse to your buyer's, either ways. Finally, there is a policy called a sales turnover policy. If your turnover is more than 20-30 crore, you can take just one policy which will cover your incoming, outgoing, inter-factory movement, everything can be covered in one policy. Yeah, Aditya, you have some question.
Sorry, did I raise the hand? Oh.
Might be my
Acha, nahi, theek hai, if you since it's already been done, I have a small point regarding this transit insurance thing. Transit, I had just recently experienced one thing, इसलिए मैं I could just recollect the matter.
Please.
Say I took a policy of 1 crore transit open policy.
Okay.
Okay. And whenever I'm declaring the value to the insurance company, with every dispatch I have to declare to the
Yes.
company that this is the dispatch when took place from this particular point A to point B, right?
Not an
Now,
open policy, you have to declare every month.
yeah, so the thing is that company, while declaring, what I did, I used to declare only the basic value, not the GST part. So
Okay.
100 rupees is the product value and 18% is the GST. So the cost of the invoice value is 118 rupees, but the product value is 100 rupees, right?
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
Listening.
Yeah. So what happened? What happened? There was a claim from my side. At the time of settlement of claim, what they did, they said कि बॉस आपका इंश्योरेंस जो वैल्यू जो होगा वो आप इंक्लूडिंग ऑफ जीएसटी लोगे, लेकिन जो क्लेम
Yes.
सेटलमेंट होगा वो एक्सक्लूसिव ऑफ जीएसटी होगा. This was
Yes.
why is it so?
So, Aditji, for this, I will ask my claims team to explain you what they have said is right. Okay. I'll not be able to explain you this part, but I'll ask somebody from my claims team to explain you.
ठीक है. Okay.
Because some insured में वो covered होता है, but tax का आपको अगर input मिला है, I'll tell my claims team to explain you. They will do a better job on this.
ठीक है.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Now, moving to liability insurance, as I said, now there are a lot of liabilities claims which can occur again in your industry. Okay, for example, it could be a pollution claim also. कि rubber industry में pollution होता है, so tomorrow there could be a claim on you by the government or from somebody else, right? So, this is a liability claim. Or for example, suppose you are supplying your product to some, so let's say rubber में you are making tires. I'm taking a simple example. Okay. Now you are supplying to auto company और उनका कोई टायर बर्स्ट हो गया जिससे किसी को इंजरी या डेथ हो गई, that claim can come to you that because of your faulty product, okay, there was a claim. Now rubber industry makes a lot of such products which are used in other industries or used in other products either ways, so you are very prone to this product liability. In most of the export cases, the buyer makes it mandatory for you to take product liability. But in any case, if you have a product which is used by end user and which can result into any injury or death, you must always take a product liability. Aditi, I'll just finish this liability and then I'll take the question. So as already mentioned, in food processing industry, in consumer products, in auto, is a very much bigger risk. Okay. And then you have a directors and officers liability policy. Now, government has already made it mandatory for listed companies, but for every company nowadays, D&O policies are much because it protects the directors and all senior management from a lot of claims. It could be even a sexual harassment claim. It could be claimed by employee for wrongful termination. Suppose आपके फैक्ट्री में किसी की डेथ भी हो गई तो immediately the director becomes a culprit. Okay, so there are a lot of things which is again covered in directors and officers liability. Now the best part is all of these policies are very, very cheap. It's just that we are not aware about it. It does not cost much to buy all these policies. Yes, Aditji, you had some question?
No, I didn't raise any hand.
Okay.
हाँ.
Okay, now coming to credit insurance or bad debt insurance. Okay, so now many people still don't know. Now you can also cover your domestic sales. Previously, only export sales used to be covered. Now domestic sales can also be covered in your credit insurance. So in India, it started with ECGC, Export Credit and Guarantee Commission. Mr. Saul, we will speak more about ECGC. And then there are different kind of policies. You can cover one single or multi-buyer. But I'll tell you what is more important is I'll tell you what are the three important benefits of taking credit insurance. So one of the most important benefits is, of course, to cover your bad debt. Right now, bad debt is something which is unavoidable in any industry. Or hard industry where you have to sell goods on credit. Dolaji, please put your thing on mute.
Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, bad debt covers your, if there's any bad debt, and in the COVID times, a lot of bad debt has happened. So it covers your bad debt. But another very important role of buying a credit insurance is to expand your sales. Now, how do you expand your sales? It's a very simple thing. Agar aapka bad debt covered hai, if you have insurance on your bad debt, then you can be more aggressive in giving better credit terms to your buyers, exploring new geographies, exploring new buyers. So the idea of bad credit insurance is actually to increase your turnover, not only to reduce your bad debts. So look at this product and how you can use this product to expand your business. Finally, keyman insurance. Keyman insurance is something which normally a company takes on the key directors or the key people in the company. Normally what happens, especially I'll tell you in what conditions we suggest. Suppose you have 2-3 directors in the company and you have a loan in the company. If there are two brothers who are managing the company, something happens to one brother. So of course, there's more pressure on the other brother, right? And at the same time, there's a bank loan. So ideally, one should take as much key man as the amount of the bank loan, so that tomorrow, if anything happens, at least that money can be used to repay the bank loan, and the remaining surviving family members, they can stay peaceful and they don't have that kind of pressure on them to return that loan. And finally, group health. Group health is basically a group medical claim cover which you take for all of your employees. This has become a very basic benefit that you can give to your people. In COVID times, we have seen a lot of new companies now taking group mediclaim. I really don't need to say more about group mediclaim. It's a very basic thing. In fact, not only group mediclaim, a lot of companies have started giving a group term insurance also. This again is a very, very cheap cover. But today, to create a loyal workforce, to reduce attrition, I think these are basic benefits that you should give to your employee. Finally, I have just jotted down some points which you should take care while buying insurance. Okay, a lot of people make these mistakes because of which the claims get rejected. First, forms are legal documents. हम लोग जो insurance companies को information देते हैं, form भर के देते हैं, that is extremely crucial. हम लोग बहुत casually बहुत बार दे देते हैं, spelling mistakes कर देते हैं, address mistake कर देते हैं. आपका अगर address है 12 नंबर स्टैंड रोड, आपने गलती से उसको 11 नंबर कर दिया, कल को क्लेम आने से आपका क्लेम रिजेक्ट हो सकता है. Okay, so you have to be very careful in filling up the form, in filling up the numbers. बहुत बार सम इंश्योर्ड में मिस्टेक लिखा हुआ जाता है, गाड़ी के चेसिस नंबर इंजन नंबर में मिस्टेक लिखा आ जाता है. So because of small things, your claims can get rejected. So please be very careful. Many times what we have seen, clients tell to the agent or the broker, "आप भर लो." No problem. Even if you are giving it to them, you please check that policy once, right? See what they have filled up. You must invest that 15-20 minutes to make sure, otherwise your claim can get rejected. Second, always ask for a receipt or a proof of cover. Now, fortunately, nowadays most people do online transfer of money. But if you are giving a check, ask them to give you immediately a receipt. Again, we have seen cases. आपने चेक दे दिया, वो चेक जाके ड्रॉर में रख दिया, 2 दिन तक जमा नहीं किया, और 2 दिन में क्लेम आ गया, your claim is rejected. It does not matter even if you have handed over the check. Okay, ask for a proof of payment or a confirmation of payment immediately. Do your renewals on time, right? Don't wait for the last day to do your renewal. At least complete the process a week or 10 days before, so that you can do the valuation properly, check the policies properly. Okay. Never give wrong facts to save on the premium. This is again a very, very stupid thing. A lot of people, in fact, a lot of agents advise कि आप ऐसा लिख दो तो आपका premium कम हो जाएगा. Never do that. Premium आपका कम हो जाएगा, but आपका claim reject हो जाएगा. Okay. Don't buy insurance only because the banker says. Buy proper insurance. Get a proper audit done to understand what are the risks, what type of cover is needed, what should be the valuation. Okay, so it will give a proper protection to your business. See, understand, your crores of assets. If something happens, insurance is the only product which can save you. No other product can save you if there's a big fire or earthquake or anything. You can claim for professional indemnity also. If you're, so for example, let's say brokers like us, we have taken a 100 crore policy. Ki if by our mistake the claims get rejected, so you can actually file a claim against us and recover that money. As I was already saying, lowest is not the best. Please compare the terms and conditions. Please compare the sum insured. Please compare the add-ons. Okay. Then only you decide what is the best policy for you. Check the terms and conditions of the policy. Ideally, it should be your broker's role. I'll give you an example. Many companies, आप check नहीं करोगे वो आपको condition डाल देगा. The goods should be 4 feet above the ground. Right? So tomorrow if there's a flood and the goods are lying on the ground, okay, everyone, most of the people, I mean, nobody puts the goods 4 feet above the ground, right? So your claim will be rejected if there is a flood tomorrow. So they put a lot of such terms and conditions to gullible customers. So make sure that you read the terms and conditions and there's no adverse condition which you cannot meet. Many times they'll put a firefighting condition, right? If you don't have a good firefighting system, your claim will be rejected. So please check properly and get those conditions removed. Finally, the background of the insurer, relationship with the insurers. So yeah, these are some key points that you should always keep in mind when buying the policy. I'm done with the presentation. If anyone has any more further questions, I'm happy.
Mr. Rahul, I would like to ask one question.
Yes,
Probably
please.
there's a scheme called group gratuity scheme also.
Yes.
So can you throw a bit of light on this?
Yes, sure, Kamlesh. So gratuity is a statutory liability. So whenever an employee completes 5 years in your organization, it becomes you're liable to give him gratuity. So either you can do two things. You can create your own fund, gratuity fund in the company, or you can buy a gratuity policy and park the fund with any of the life insurance companies. The good thing about taking a group gratuity policy is that money is saved every year, small amount of money which goes to a fund which is well managed by insurance company, and there's some amount of life cover also involved with that, right? If the money keeps lying in your bank account, there might be a tendency to use that money, and that is also a criminal offense in India. You cannot touch the gratuity money. It will always make sense to create a park the money in a gratuity fund. It's good for the employees, it's good for the company also.
Right. I believe Mr. Somnath would like to ask something. Yes, please. Yes, Mr. Somnath.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon.
Somnathji.
Rahulji, we have fire policy. I'm from JC Polymers. We have
Okay.
fire policy. We have taken policy in December.
Okay.
In case if we wish to cancel the policy for due to some technical reason, and then we'll get the same policy after next few months.
Okay.
So what are the refund and the other procedure? Can you please explain about that?
So if you cancel the policy and reissue immediately, then you don't lose any money. Otherwise, if you just want to cancel and buy a different policy altogether with a different company, then there's a slab of which gets, for example, if you cancel within 15 days, you lose 8% of the money. If you cancel
8%.
in 1 month, if you cancel in 1 month, then 15%. If you cancel in 2 months, then it's 25 or 30%. So what you can do is you can share your number with Megha, and Megha will send you that chart on what is the deduction on different days and different months.
Okay. If suppose we'll assure to that insurance company, we'll take the policy within the next 2 months or 3 months.
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
That will be if you cancel it today, you will have to take the refund, and you cannot use that money for future policy after.
Okay.
You will lose some money there.
Okay. No, but if suppose we are continuing with them, the same insurance company.
There cannot be a break. There cannot be even a one-day break.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, Rahul. It was a very enlightening session. I believe we need much longer time with you. Probably this was basically a orientation and feel of what
Yes.
insurance can help us to hedge our risk of the business. Thank you once again for spending your valuable time with us.
Thank you so much. Pleasure was entirely mine. If anyone has any more questions, I'll be happy to take it later. I'm just putting my coordinates in the chat box so people can get connected.
Right.
So thank you very much, Mr. Rahul Agarwal, for enlightening us with all the information related to the insurance and that too pertaining to our industry. Now, I would now I think sir may take up this to I mean this this program. There is the other part of the program where ECGC Export Credit Guarantee Corporation will deliberate on the risks on export and the credit guarantee schemes thereby. And it is Sri Lakshmi Narayan Shahu who is there as a guest speaker for the day, and he will be taking us further on a tour to learn about the export credit guarantee schemes and others. So I would request Mr. Kamalesh Jain sir to kindly share a brief about our guest speaker, Sri Lakshmi Narayan Shah, and then we can move forward.
Thank you, Swaradip. Sri Lakshminarayan Shahu joined ECGC as a prohibitory officer in the year 2002. During his 18-year stint in the ECGC, he has worked in various capacities in the major branches of the corporation in the places of Chennai, Vishakhapatnam, Hyderabad, Gurgaon, Bhubaneswar, large exporter branch of Mumbai, and at present he is heading the Calcutta exporter branch. Prior to heading the Calcutta exporter branch, he has also headed the branches of Gurgaon and Bhubaneswar. He has wide experience in the areas of marketing, underwriting, and claims processing. I would like to, before I hand over and invite our guest speaker to say that I have a excellent experience with ECGC. I had started some export in the year 2000. When I was exporting materials to USA, and it so happened that due to some mistake, clerical mistake of my staff and the banker, and we lost some 2 containers. Money was not given by the uh, buyer, but we declared everything. We had done this credit insurance, and they reimbursed 90% of the claim. So this is a very, very effective agency, and we have to be very transparent with this. With this, I would like to invite Mr. Lakshminarayan Sahu to deliberate on what is the scope of ECGC and how the exporters can get benefit of this.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Mr. Kamlesh, sir, for starting with a very positive note and about your positive experience with ECGC. Am I audible to everybody?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you. And also, Mr. Rahul Agarwal already has given a very elaborate presentation on the insurance, various insurance products. Also, he has clarified, highlighted about the credit insurance product. So now my subject will be related to export credit insurance and what are the products and services available for from ECGC, which will be helpful for all your members who are present in today's meeting. So now I'll share the. I think there is it's unable to share the screen.
Just check, sir, whether you can do it now.
Okay, I'm checking.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Welcome. Most welcome.
So before starting about the product and services, I'll just give a brief about ECGC, because as you know, ECGC is 100% owned by Government of India, which also is managed by the board of directors who represent from government, the Reserve Bank of India, banking industry, also the insurance community and insurance industry and the exporting community also. We also happen to be the 5th largest credit insurer of the world in terms of national coverage, and the present capital is 3,190 crores against the paid up authorized capital of 5,000 crores. Also, there is a recent, you must have come across some news article about ECGC, wherein government is planning to infuse further capitals in the coming years. And also we are likely to go public maybe next financial year. A portion of our share may come for market issue also. So these are the developments, recent development in ECGC. In fact, if you see our financials for the last 5 years also, if you will realize, while the majority of our premium income has been going as claim payment, we have been paying substantial claims everywhere, except for 2019-20, because of the COVID lockdown during the March month itself. So we could not settle majority of the claims, but otherwise, if you see, almost every year the claim payouts are very substantial amount. And in spite of claim payments, our net worth happened to be rupees 6,365 crore, which was as of March 2021. So the main purpose, the main objective with which government has established ECGC was to promote exports, promotion of export by protecting exports against the commercial and political risk and export in export proceeds. Also, we are protecting the banks also. So whenever exporters are availing packing credit or post-shipment advance for the export purpose, that is also protected by ECGC. Also, we provide trade-related services to the exporting community. In fact, Mr. Rahul had told one thing, that domestic credit insurance is also available in the market as of now, but ECGC is not providing credit insurance for domestic transaction. Of course, there are private players who may be providing credit insurance for the domestic transactions. ECGC is providing services only related to export. See, whenever anybody, if you think of, if you compare between two business, that is local business and the export business, there are various export businesses quite risky, and so many risks which you don't find in the local business. It is associated in the export risk. So what are the different risks they are associated with export transaction? First is commercial risk, then commercial risk relate to the payment by the buyer, ultimate buyer. Then exchange risk. Now exchange risk is also it is also substantial, because if there is a fluctuation in the foreign currency, and by that time you are realizing the payment, if the value of your rate has gone down, then you will be realizing less amount in the local currency. So that is also a risk. Transfer risk relate to the country, because in some country, like if you talk of say South, mostly African country, they're suffering. Even Sri Lanka also, today's state Sri Lanka also is facing substantial problem. So if there is no sufficient foreign currency available in the buyer's country, even though the buyer is making a payment, you still don't get payment for your export transaction. So that is called as transfer risk. Economic risk, again, economic risk related to suddenly some imposition, some kind of economic action taken by the government, which can translate into a non-payment for your export transaction. Political risk can happen, like if USA suddenly imposes any sanction on a particular country, and your transaction is in dollar, then you will not get the payment. So that is called as political risk. Also, it can happen with anything like war or civil war happening in the if you talk of Somalia or African countries, it is very common. So all these risks are associated in an export transaction, which generally is not available in a local business. So one should, whenever before proceeding for any export transaction, one should be aware of all the risks so that he takes a calculated move and protect the export transaction properly. Now I'll go back to the lab. So out of this, all the risk, I'll tell you ECGC basically covers the commercial risk, political risk, economic risk, and transfer risk. ECGC don't provide cover for the exchange risk. For exchange risk, you can approach your banker. You can have forward cover or forward cover for your transactions. So that way you can protect. So other than exchange risk, ECGC is providing under the policy schemes, various policy schemes. We are providing cover for rest of the 4 risks. We provide coverage. Now, whenever you are dealing in export transaction, it is very important that you know what are the various important terms of payments you generally use in export transaction. Because if you mention something, what kind of terms of payment in your invoice, whenever you are raising an invoice on the overseas buyer, you can there may be problem in a future date. So very important, you mention the terms of payment. Only the international accepted terms of payment only, which is clear, like which will give you a clear definition of the due date of payment and what will be the mode of transfer of the document and the payment also. Now, first and foremost and the most safest way to deal with the overseas buyer is advance payment. Advance means 100% advance payment. So this is very safe because you receive the money well in advance, and then only you are making a shipment. So you don't have any risk in this transaction. But this is very uncommon in today's date. And also, if you have to grow your business, you necessarily offer credit to the buyer so that your business increases. Now, the next safest way is to deal by letter of credit, which can be either on the side terms or usage terms. So letter of credit, but letter of credit also slowly it is you will vanishing day by day, because for opening a letter of credit also there is a cost. Then the buyer don't want to block their capital, so it involves cost for opening, advising, and also if there is any amendment to be done, again there is a charges for that. Then even if there is any discrepancy, again you will be incurring additional charges. Or also in case of discrepancy, the overseas bank can deny the payment also. Here also the banks are, it is not just because LC is open, so it is not always safe, because under LC also it is possible that the overseas bank can fail. They can go, they can default, or they can go bankrupt also. So such risks are also covered under the LC shipments. Now there is another safe, which is not backed by letter of credit, but it is again a safe mode of transaction, that is called as DP or CAD. DP means documents against payment, or CAD is cash against document. Here, this is applicable only when the shipment is made by C and through a non-negotiable instrument, negotiable instrument of bill of lading. So generally, what happens whenever a shipment is made by C, the buyer is not able to, if you have drawn the document on side basis, so buyer cannot take delivery of cargo without presentation of the original bill of lading to the banker. So when he will able to get the original bill of lading, he can get only when he makes payment for the invoice value. Then he can take the original BL and clears the consignment. So here the safe thing is that the title to the cargo is still it is in your hands. It is in your hand till you realize the payment. But there again, the risk is the buyer, if they don't, after the goods have reached the foreign country, if the buyer decide, no, I will not take delivery, that is a risk for you, because you have to either bring it back or resell to alternate buyer at a discounted price. So that is risk also is available on DP CAD. But only good thing is that buyer is not able to take delivery of your consignment. Again, there are some shipment which you have to make it through ship by air only. So in that case, even though the buyer might have told you it will be at side terms, but if you are dealing in air shipment, you keep in mind it is purely credit terms, because for area bill is not a negotiable instrument, and the buyer is not required to present the area bill copy to take the delivery of the consignment. So whenever it is made by air, there is no thing like side terms of payment. It is purely credit term, because this cargo will reach within 2 days time, whereas your document may be reaching much later than that, and by the time buyer would have taken already delivery of the cargo. So that is as good as credit terms. Of course, the last and very common and also the most riskiest terms of payment is DA, which is documents against acceptance. So this is purely credit terms of payment. You are offering credit of say 30 days, 90 days or 60 days as per your appetite to the buyer. Buyer takes delivery of the consignment and makes the payment only after that specified number of days from the bill of lading. So here you are totally in the mercy of the buyer. And this is also very common terms of payment in today's state. And that is where ECGC plays a major role to protect the Indian exporters. Now, coming to the various risks what we cover under ECGC policies. First of all, already you know what are the terms of payment and what are the risks associated with that. Now, risks what we cover, if like credit term, you have made a shipment. Now, buyer has taken delivery of the consignment, and that specified credit period is also over, but buyer is not making the payment. So if that is called as protected default. If buyer fails to make you payment with of the due amount after 4 months from the original due date, you are eligible for claim under ECC policy if you have taken cover for that. Similarly, insolvency is a very nowadays this we find very large established, well established and very old buyers are also taking the recourse to insolvency. What happens? The buyer may be very at a time buyer may be very good, but as you know the competition and the market scenario, if the buyer find it is no more worth to continue the business, they take this legal recourse of insolvency. And this is very common mostly in the advanced, the developed countries like USA, UK, European countries. Buyer may be very good for years. You might have been dealing with them for continuously for long years, but you will not predict when they will declare themselves bankrupt. And once they declared bankrupt, legally they are not liable to pay your dues. So this is also very common with large buyers. And risk of non-acceptance, as I told you, you have met goods have reached there, but because of market condition or anything, buyer now don't want that goods. So that is called a non-acceptance. These all risks are covered under ECC policy schemes. Beside this commercial risk, we also cover the political risk like risk due to war or risk of any imposition of import ban after delivery of the goods. So suppose you have already made a shipment, the goods have already moved from Indian port, but after when they are moving or they have reached there, suddenly there is a ban of such cargo by the country. That is also covered. Or any political sovereignty, any change is taking place, change in policies of the government which can affect your payment, or exchange control regulation, like they say okay, only up to this much amount foreign currency can be transferred, which may be result due to lack of foreign currency in the foreign country. And also any trade embargo imposed after the shipment has taken place. In all such cases, if your payment is blocked, you are protected under ECC policy if you have taken suitable cover for taken ECC policy cover. Similarly, while we cover all the risks, it is also ECGC policies do not cover many kind of risks also. Generally coming commercial dispute or counter claim. If you have made export, but buyer now is telling the goods are not in proper, not as per his specification or the quality of goods, generally that risk is not covered by ECC. But again, I'll highlight here, like if you have been dealing with the buyer for a long time, because there can be a general question among all the participants, suddenly for not making payment, buyer can always raise a question the quality is not good. So this also we examine based on the documentary evidence and what are the how you can justify you were proper at the time of dispatch of goods. Here also I'll highlight to all the members कि whenever you are taking an order from a buyer, kindly make sure कि the specifications are properly you obtain from the buyer, and there also you can do kind of thing it a third party quality inspection of anything like SGS or any important agencies are there. If you can do that specification testing before the dispatching such goods, so you can avoid such counterclaims. And if such things are available, we also take a positive view and also settle the ECC, the exporter policy claim. But again, if the value is very high, say for it, the export value itself is more than 5 crore or something, and buyer now is telling the quality is not good. In that case, we may advise you to take a legal action against the buyer in the foreign country. And if you get a positive judgment in your favor, then we settle the claim to the exporter. Similarly, causes inherent in the nature of goods. Now, this will be more applicable when you are dealing in perishable products, because, say, for example, fruit and vegetable, by the time transit period, if by the time it is reaching to the destination port, if the quality has deteriorated, the buyer is not making payment, ECGC will not come into help there. Buyer's failure to obtain import license. This will be more applicable when dealing with any hazardous item or anything which is a kind of restricted commodity or which is generally banned in for trading. So make sure whenever dealing in such product, the buyer is having such import license in their buyer country. The policy also do not cover insolvency, default of the agent or collecting bank. If a shipping line is making any mistake because of which the goods or something is happening, actually that is called as default of the agent. Such risks are not covered. General insurance risk. Keep in mind, while transit, the goods are in movement or anything, if there is a loss or damage to the good during the transit, and that will not be covered by ECGC. So make sure कि proper transit insurance policy coverage taken for all your export transactions. The other point, exchange rate fluctuation, already I have highlighted earlier, that is not covered. So you need to have proper cover through your bank, kind of forward cover or anything. Also, failure of the exporter to fulfill terms of contract, because that generally naturally issues will not come into help if you yourself you have not able to fulfill the contract what you have established with the buyer. Because if the buyer requires some goods to reach by a particular date, and you are supplying only after maybe 30 days or something, and buyer has if buyer now not taking delivery, how we can come to help there. But whenever if you find there is going to be a delay in shipment and you are having a ECC policy cover, please make sure कि if there is any delay, take a written confirmation from the buyer कि I am delayed, this thing is delayed, kindly confirm I can ship or not. If he telling okay you can ship and still he is not making payment, then you will be eligible for such coverage under the ECC policy. If any non-payment occurs, we will be helping you for the claim. Now, as I told you, ECGC, like Mr. Rahul has explained you about various kinds of insurance product. But when it comes to ECGC, we provide only one kind of insurance cover, which is credit insurance cover, exclusively for exports only. And for that particular insurance cover, we have various kind of policy product, because the commodity what you are dealing, then your volume of business, the number of buyers you are dealing, the number of countries you are dealing, it can be different for each exporter. So to meet each and every kind to the need of each and every kind of exporter, we have devised various kind of policy schemes. So main reason for devising so many policy product, main idea is to keep the cost competitive and the compliances also limited, so that will not if export turnover policy, for example, this we offer only to a large exporter where the premium payable per annum is more than 20 lakhs. After we offer a 20% discount. So this is designed mainly for large exporter. Comprehensive policy is designed for exporters having export turnover more than 5 crore. And again, when the exporter desires to cover all their export, then this is offered. Small exporter policy is again for exporters having export turnover of up to 5 crore. The main advantage of the small exporter policy is that you have to pay only initially upfront payment of only 5,000 rupees minimum premium, and you get a higher percentage of cover under the small exporter policy, which is 95%. The first two policies, ETP and small shipment comprehensive policy, you get 90% cover, but for small exporter policy, we give 95% cover. Then we have also exposure-based multi-buyer exposure policy. This is more suitable when you have say buyers, number of buyers spanning more around for 30-40 buyers, and you are dealing with various geographies also. In that case only, this multi-buyer exposure policy is suitable. Similarly, if some exporter require only to cover one buyer or only one shipment also, we have policy product that is called a specific shipment policy, specific buyer policy, and also single buyer exposure policy. And as per insurance requirement for all kind of policy schemes, the first and foremost important thing is advance premium need to be paid in advance. So whatever policy you take today's date, this is as per the IRD guideline. You have to make sure that advance premium in proportion to your shipment, what you're going to do, should be available well in advance in your policy account. And in case of declaration-based policy, you have to take credit limit approval on all the buyer. And there is again one more important instruction guideline I would like to highlight here for all your members. See, even though you might have taken a ECC policy cover, and generally what happens is the buyer say you send the document directly to me through instead of routing through the bank. Now, please make sure there is a RBI guideline regarding this. Now, if you are a status holder exporter, then only you are permitted to send document directly to the buyer. Or if you have received 100% advance, you can send document directly to the buyer. If you are not a status holder exporter and you have not received the payment, then you are necessarily required to route the document through the bank only, through your bank to the overseas bank. So that point you have to keep in mind. This is very important because even though you might have taken a policy cover, but you have sent document direct, not being a status holder, if you have sent document directly. So we cannot settle unless the same is again regularized by the RBI or the authorized dealer. Only after that only we are able to settle a claim. So if you have taken comprehensive policy cover, the monthly shipment declaration of all shipment need to be submitted. Again, the premium rates are very depending upon the country and the terms of payment, because if the country is riskier, naturally premium rate will be higher. And if the credit period, similarly, if it is increasing, naturally premium rate also increase according in proportion to the credit period. Similarly, even though you have taken a policy cover and you have made a original shipment on a terms of payment, or if you have made a terms of in the shipment for the terms of payment of DP, but by the time goods have reached there, now buyer is not able to take delivery and ask you to convert it to DA. Maybe some reason he wanted to convert to DA. In that case, make sure you have to take prior approval from ECC, or even if you are required to resell or import the good, you have to take prior approval. Any payment is remained overdue, not paid, you have to immediately intimate to ECGC. There is a prescribed time period. Within that, you should inform. And after that, you will advise you to initiate some recovery step, which is again free of cost. That is mandatory requirement. Once you have initiated the recovery step, you can submit the claim form along with all the supporting document. And based on that, once you have submitted all document, and based on the claim amount and this thing, we generally clear. If it is at branch level, maybe your claim can be cleared within maximum of 1 month or so. Or if it has to go to our head office or other, then maybe some additional time delay. So it is not key even after payment of claim, you stop following for the recovery. So even after ECC settles a claim, you are required to follow up with the buyer, because After all, your money is blocked there, and ECGC is not paying you 100%. So assuming your claim was for 100 rupees, we settled you 90 rupees. Still 10 rupees is your 10 rupees is left with the buyer. So it is better you follow up with the buyer, and if you get any recovery, you have to share in the same ratio. Here I'll give you example. As I told you, your outstanding was 100 rupees. We settled you 90 rupees. Assuming you followed up for recovery, and after follow-up, you are able to recover 50 rupees from the buyer. In that case, out of 50, you return ECGC only 45 rupees, and that balance 5 rupees you keep with you. So you share with the same ratio. So that is the process will continue. Only in case of recovery there. So that is all within the limited time I had to share about ECGC. In any case, our contact details are placed below the email ID, and the landline numbers are given. Any questions or anything if you have right now, you can ask, or maybe you can mail also anything if you feel any clarification, anything from ECGC. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us a platform here.
Thank you, Mr. Sahu, for your wonderful taking us through the ECGC various schemes on insurance. I believe the insurance part is now an integral part of business, and everybody needs to understand, especially when we are talking about doubling of exports or making exports 4 times. How do we hedge our risk? What are the areas which are covered by ECGC? What are the areas not covered by ECGC? It's important that people understand. Thank you once again. I believe we are going to further conduct some more probably webinar or conferences on how to promote exports, and I would like you to be a part of this. Thank you once again for spending your valuable time, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And also you can inform me whenever if you are planning anything. So either myself or our party will definitely somebody will represent from our side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. So we end the meeting here. We end the webinar session here. And thank you for participating our webinar today. Have a wonderful day and a nice weekend ahead.